My first reaction was absolute frustration.
I was not very happy at all.
At the first instance, we were a bit scared.
Frankly, I would say that I have no idea.
Oh no, not again. Shocked.
That time I was very sad.
Quite surprising.
My first reaction was maybe it would be just for a week. I had a mixed emotions.
It gives me a worry.
Around 1.5 billion students around the world were sent home as educational institutions closed their doors. Classrooms and educational norms changed almost overnight. Some have since reopened, but class isn't in session for half of the world's students. Education as we knew it seems permanently altered, yet educators must carry on.
This is quite a challenging task because the fact that we have to go online is something that affects us so deeply. Like most of us, we can say we lack computer proficiency. We are not so proficient with computer. So, but then with the passage of time, we feel that we need to rise up to the occasion.
Ingkong habaka ay penbena lockdown ka ngasungo bahahi namar ba kan ban knang nam ta ka jing bha jongi jangki khna ba jongi kini kai ka bahahi baka sarkar ka le kamta re habaki ong pat bangin hap pen content bangin don paki online classes ningkong ka shem jing yangi hikai ru khamtam namar kani ka dika ka baningkong ka bangin pat jumlien ban le ha po school yang pat julet don gini online classes yang pat ju sedang te kalong thamai kan yang gini hikai te kumta ngi kum kina hikai ni hap kin ban trishitom bangin ya le kum nu ban hikai kum nu ban penan kam ki apps ki bayade kum nu ban ajing hikai ya kini ki khna school.
Last 37 years of my teaching experience, I have never faced such kind of pandemic or a close down, a shutdown. We have the longest holidays, that is our winter holidays, which will be about 2 months or so. But we never expect to close the school for a year, almost a year,
When millions of young people have been urged to stay at home like the other members of their families, and when the educational institutions have remained closed, online education appears to be the only alternative to ensure the continuity of education of these students. But the question remains as to whether we were prepared to utilize these substitute means of providing education in our country without diluting the quality of education to be imparted to our students.
It was really a tough time. So because again, we are not technology savvy, so recording ourselves for our explanation, so that was also, and to upload the videos on WhatsApp, that was actually the main issue, because the offline lessons would take for about half an hour, but then for the online classes, just to end up with a 6 minutes with 6 minutes explanation, it's just really unexplainable, really. So yes, that was the major challenge actually, I find. So
in Meghalaya, the standard online education is still out of the reach of many students in our educational institutions who have limited or no access to computers and internet connectivity at home. We still do not have any data on how many students have access to broadband internet, 4G smartphones, tablets, laptops, or desktop computers and other technologies absolutely necessary for online classes.
It's a big challenge for me to think of how to get in touch with our children. Some of them, they went back to their villages, like we have some from the Jaintia side. We can't keep in touch with those. Sometimes some we call them, and then somehow they said they don't get the line signal.
What about the children who live in such an area where there's no proper network coverage? What about them? Teachers can't just prioritize only the students who have access to internet. We have to also think about other students who live in such an area where they cannot avail internet connection. So there was a lot of things that was going on. As an educator, it is very difficult because we can't just impart education just to few students, because as a teacher, we have to think for the whole lot.
The COVID-19 pandemic has been wreaking havoc, upsetting lives and livelihoods of many families across our state. It has been noticed that in many cases, there is only one 4G smartphone at home for many families, which would have to be shared by the earning members of the family struggling to continue with their shrinking livelihood opportunities. The children at home of various ages are left jostling for that only device in the family.
Every child is not the same, and children learn at their own pace. And in a classroom where there are lots of students and they learn on their own pace. And so this online classes was very challenging for me, especially because many of these students come from very poor background. It was very difficult for me to, get access to the parents because most of them didn't have a smartphone. And so the challenge came when they had to buy a smartphone. And many parents called me and they told me whether they were going to eat or whether they were going to buy a mobile phone. And this made me very sad.
Really, some of my teachers, my colleagues are also facing the same problems because, with 3 to 4 children and managing the same phone, it was really difficult task, really.
However, despite differences in access by students' families to digital resources, solutions were also quickly found to reach students and guide them in choosing appropriate goals for continuing their learning.
Initially, we had a lot of struggles, and I had to Xerox the notes and the materials, and I had to go to their houses, to each of their houses, to explain to them what online class is all about. Because many of the parents in our school are uneducated and most of them are daily laborers. And so for them to buy a phone was very difficult, and many had to get some sort of financial help for them to buy a new phone and, make their children learn somehow. And as the months passed, slowly we started to get the hang of the online class. And so things began to become easy. But as a teacher and an educator, teaching is a very challenging, it's very challenging in the sense that some parents give their full support while some parents cannot give them, not because they don't want to, but because they have to be at work, and many of them leave home by 8:30 in the morning, and our online classes starts quite early. And so we teachers also have to kind of make our timing in such a way that all the children would be able to learn somehow. And so phone calls till late at night, correcting the papers till late at night, those were the challenges I faced. And I couldn't even scold them because they had to earn a living, and they had to also take care of their family, and they had to also take care of the children's need as well.
There were some times when the students could not get, so to say, they could not come when we had Zoom classes, they could not attend because either the parents were in office or, they were working parents. So what we did for them is we told the teachers to, send a message to the group saying that whoever wishes to could not attend class on a certain period of time can give the names to the teachers and we'll conduct for them maybe in the evening when the parents return. So we did that. in our school.
Most of the young people in our country have been staying at home for months without any form of formal education, let alone quality education. Under such circumstances, there is a strong likelihood that there would be a high dropout rate from institutions now and in the years to come. The indefinite closures of schools, colleges, and universities may reverse years of progress in access to education in our country.
So there are few who takes TC. They said they'll go back to their own village. Then looking at the enrollment this year, I think it has decreased. So I feel there's some dropout. There will be. Yeah.
Some students, they have parents who could afford them not just a mobile phone, even a computer, a laptop. They provide them with high-speed internet. Whenever the teacher wanted to conduct a class, they could conduct, and they'll receive all the information that the teacher is prepared. But there's another section who are in the same class, who sit in the same class equally during the offline classes. When the disease hit, those people who has been sitting equally in the classroom could not maintain that equality anymore. That is the reason why this inequality rises, where the poorer section of the society who could not afford the smartphone just have to sit there at home. Some are not even aware that the online classes are going on. So those who used to get education, the same education every day in the school, because of the lockdown and all these online classes, some have to sit at home and lag behind while their friends are still learning.
We have seen it I have seen it in my own class. Yes, there are dropouts because of financial reasons. And even the batch that is appearing exams now, class 12s, even among them, some of the students had a very tough time, and somehow we have been able to convince them to come back to class, and they were also eager to come back to class because they knew it was just a matter of a few more days and they would finish the exams and then go back to earning again. So the families have been supportive. Somehow they managed. Yes, true, there would be a few cases where there would be dropouts, but I urge everyone to go through that hardship in whatever way just to ensure that the children go to school, because that's the only way we see the light at the end of the tunnel. Otherwise, it's going to be just the same story. We're just prolonging the process. We should be doing things that bring hope, and education is the only thing that can bring hope.
Educators admit that face-to-face interactions between teachers and students, along with vibrant and healthy debates amongst peers within the classroom and outside, are integral to quality teaching, which turns out are areas where online classes might not be able to deliver.
Through online classes, we cannot build them like in their character, or we cannot build their moral values, and we cannot develop this interest also. So through online classes, I found that only few students, they are participating, some are not participating, and those who are participating also, we are not very sure whether they are participating or some other people are participating, parents or friends. So there we find difficult. And then again, the interest also in the classroom, every day we monitor them and we train them, we know them physically. But here through online, we cannot give the education like in moral values. The interest we cannot develop, and this learning by doing also we cannot do.
It's not only about what they've learned in class, because that you can teach them and they learn, but it's the other parts which are more important: your social skills, your discipline, your values that you have, the punctuality. That's much more important, and that is so necessary for education. I don't know why people think education is just academics, and for me, academics is just a part of it. It's who you are which matters more at the end of the day, and how you're able, if you at the end of finishing class 12 can be an independent young person who can think and who can contribute back to society, then you can say you're educated. And I think that's important. Yeah.
Social and emotional learning like empathy, attention, collaboration, critical and creative thinking, and developing respect for others who are different are difficult to inculcate among students without face-to-face classroom teaching.
Yes, there are certain areas where the online experience is not as authentic as an in-person experience. Discipline could be one, yes. There are other areas where, that personal bonding between the teacher and the students, that becomes a little difficult. We study the reaction of a child in the class from the child's body language, from the child's eye movements, from the child's look on the face. And same way, the children are studying us, our body movements, our body language, our eyes, everything gives them a message. And those things become a lot more difficult. And, everything hinders the communication process. And teaching is all about communication. Teaching is all about communicating the right vibes. And if I'm not able to communicate the right vibes, forget about the lesson. The lesson will take a back seat. And so, yes, there are certain areas which online classes cannot cope up with. It becomes very impersonal. And teaching cannot be impersonal. Teaching is a very, very personal thing. It's a kind of a pact between the teacher and the taught. It's a bond between the teacher and the taught. If that bond does not exist, there can be no teaching. There can be no learning.
We need to accept the change and develop the habits according to the need of the time. One needs to start practicing the art of being friendly with technology. To maintain the never-ending interest in the students, one needs to find more and more alluring, interactive, and ubiquitous ways to teach and learn. One such example is of Mizo HL High School, wherein teachers organized various online competitions for the students.
Besides this online classes and all, studies and all, I used to conduct this online competitions among the class students and all, and they really enjoyed also, like jigsaw puzzle competitions, then quiz and all, then different subject quiz also, and then spelling bee, and then drawing, art, those things. I conducted these competitions among through this online, through WhatsApp only, and the response was very good. And even the parents, they said that it's very creative and all, and they really enjoyed, and they are very happy.
Another such example is of Kitty's Corner School, wherein the educators successfully conducted the School Week program online.
Good evening, everyone. Dear Principal, our dear students, teachers, parents, all the KC family members, well-wishers and friends. Welcome to our first online Tartan Heart Festival. Everyone knows that we organize a school week every year, and this year we had to do things differently because of the pandemic. And yes, we didn't want to stop it, so it was tough doing what we did, but then eventually we were able to do so. And this festival, as everyone knows, was a festival to where our children could display their talents, showcase their talents, whatever it may be. And more importantly than that, I feel that the getting together of students, getting to know each other, learning from each other, teachers knowing students at a different level, that was more important actually. But this year, none of that could happen. Each child had to be filmed by their parents at home, which was something very, very difficult, and I really want to thank our parents for doing such an amazing job. Because when you get to see the videos which were sent to us, I'm sure all of you will agree with what I said just now. Dear parents, thank you so much for your cooperation. Thank you so much for your support and understanding and wanting your child to do everything that they can to become a better human being.
Good morning. morning, everyone. I am Sakshi Rai, your host for today's program. Today is the second day of the Tartan Heart Festival, the fancy dress competition. A competition in which students very excitedly participate in displaying their beautiful, creative and recycled outfits.
I'm going to fly to the moon. Phew! My name is Sumati Papawana. I'm policeman. I wash your hands. Then and bye.
Given that distance education has been primarily based on the use of digital technologies, the crisis has highlighted the need to develop educators' digital literacy. Although some educators have already been using digital means, many still lack the required knowledge, skills, and tools to design quality online learning material.
I just want to say that's another area where all of us improved. Because in the beginning, when we had to start making videos for our kids, many of us were at a loss, and especially my old teachers who have been here for a long time. But to see the videos that they're making today is just unbelievable. And that's what this pandemic has taught our teachers and taught me too. And they're able to right now I'm saying the videos that they're sending their kids, the quality is amazing. Of course, in the beginning, they were grumbling and they had the whole family up till 2 o'clock in the morning, daughter doing this, son doing that, husband doing that. But at the end, they managed. But when I came to know that many of them, because of the lockdown last year, their whole families had come back to Shillong, the houses were full. There was no place to make videos. And so those are the problems which I never thought of. But when they told me about it, then I told them, why didn't you come to school? At that time, they were allowed to come. So I said, come to school since it's empty. You can make your videos here. But not many of us, especially those who are not in the teaching profession, would understand that these are the problems teachers were facing. And we had a lot of problems, and I feel that in whatever way we could, we need to address them, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who are doing such a big job where the kids are concerned, and they're doing such a wonderful job.
While the pandemic has posed many challenges, it has provided the school and its families with unexpected opportunities. Amongst all of the stresses, many are rediscovering family time.
A very good thing of the lockdown was family time. We never had family time, but this lockdown brought family time. But it extended to it went so long, people started getting fed up. But it was so nice to know that families were together eventually, that they got to know each other better. And that's what is important for a family, to know each other, because I'm saying before that, many parents, today too, if you ask children, our parents, what is your child's favorite movie? What is your child's favorite color? What is your Many don't. Yeah, and I think that had brought, and they had indoor games that they used to play and board games. So that family bonding grew stronger, and that's one good thing the lockdown did actually. It brought young people and their parents together. Because otherwise, you see, there is a drift where young people are concerned because they think that their parents belong to another era, so they don't really understand them. But this got them together, and it was, in a way, good.
We are actually left at this point in time with a rather grim situation. Even scientists cannot predict very accurately what the future will bring. I think that schools and universities need to be more inventive. We could ask students to write about their learning experiences from COVID. They have been at home, they have been in their community, they have learnt a lot from watching TV and seeing the news about life skills, about disaster management, about health issues. And all of these are important learnings. Maybe these could be captured, credit could be given. The other thing that we need to give some importance to is empathy for students. I think that some measures such as condonation of exams and backlog subjects, enabling students to come all the way up to class 11. I think these are some things that need to be emphasized. Some people will say that students will exploit the system. But I think that even though some may actually do this, we have to believe in the goodness of people and the real aspirations of parents and children for real learning. After all, everyone wants to become a better person. Everyone wants to increase their potential. So these are some of the things that we need to think about, because innovations and reinventing learning and education comes as an opportunity during this time of pandemic.
The COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted both challenges and opportunities in education. It has given us an opportunity to turn this crisis into a driving force for achieving India's aim to provide quality education to all.